My name is Milind and I'm the Assistant Manager for Admissions and Outreach for Plaksha University, Mohali. Together with me, I have Dr. Monica Sharma, who is the Associate Professor, also the Program Chair for our Biological Systems Engineering program. She has a PhD from IIIT Hyderabad, and her area of expertise is bioinformatics and computational biophysics. Also, some of her past associations has been been associated as a research scientist. She's worked as a research scientist and faculty at IISER Mohali. She's also worked as a postdoctoral fellow at National Institute of Health, Bethesda, and also at Michigan State University. So before we begin, I guess everyone knows that today's session is about our program, but I just want to set a few context about how is the program part of Plaksha, how is Plaksha different. Some of you might already know about our university, but just to give you an idea of how it started is also very important. So Plaksha's journey started with there were a group of people, mostly IIT alumni, who had an honest conversation how engineering education in India had been progressing. A big part of their discussion was that the kind of courses and programs that most of these founders that we have, the kind of curriculum that they had back in 1990s, most of the founders felt that the curriculum that students even in 2024 were being taught is has not changed a lot, whereas we see that the careers that are available to students now, the career opportunities have changed quite a lot in the past 20 years. As we all know, technology is going forward at an exponential level. So we felt that there was a huge gap between the market, between the job market and the kind of studies that the students were undertaking. And this gap in India, especially for engineering and science students, was only widening. That's why they felt it's a need of the hour to set up a research-based private institute like Plaksha, which offers programs that are at the intersection of engineering, science, and technology. So that's a little bit gist. We started with our UG batch in 2020. We also have PhD programs. We have a summer school that's been running from the past 8 years, and we'll also be launching a master's program again for artificial intelligence next year. So that's little bit about the journey, little bit about Plaksha. Obviously, we offer four BTech undergraduate majors, which is CSAI, robotics, and data science. But today's session is one of the more upcoming and branches, one of the more upcoming majors, which is very interesting, which is our biological systems engineering major. So with that, I would just like to over to you, Professor Monica.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Milind, for introducing Plaksha and BSc and me as well. So I'm going to share my presentation. Just let me know.
Yes, we can see the screen, Professor.
You can see the screen?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I hope I am audible to everybody and everyone is able to see the screen. So I'm going to introduce you something which is unique about Plaksha is our unique program which is called as Biological Systems Engineering. And I believe that I'll be able to answer some of your queries through this presentation. If not, I may be raising more queries, so I'll be happy to answer to take it afterwards. So just to give you a gist that what actually, started this kind of a biological systems engineering name. It's beyond what we call as bioengineering, biomedical engineering, biotech engineering. How is it is a bit different. So let's starting up the putting up the context. When you talk about biology and engineering in one sentence, what does that mean? Engineering aside computer science, the first thing that come in engineering as soon as you say is something which we can tinker, and the most common are the electronics like robotics. And here this is one of the robotic. I don't know if you're able to see that, but it's a BMW factory which we are very proud of as a human, that we have created something which is an automated pipeline. They can glue, paste, do all sorts of things and help us build cars. I mean the premier cars, right? Now moving on to another machinery. So this is our protein making machinery which is happening right now in everybody at this instant. So now you see here also the things are being built, they are being tinkered. So the idea here is, what once you call as an engineering in a robotic, and then there is biology, if you also look at it as an engineering perspective, so the things become simpler. Or I won't say it becomes more interesting in a sense, because here we know that how the glue is going to work, how the things are going to be cut paste. For example, let's say if I'm going to ask anybody here that how you're going to cut a paper, you're going to use a scissor, right? How are you going to cut a metal sheet? Maybe laser, maybe a hard cutter. That's where you can do it. So the tools are different, and that's how the training is different. So the same goes in biology. When we talk about sciences, we kind of bring these things, that what are the tools which are used to cut. Now bring the engineering principles, combine it up with these are the things that paste up. Now you have something which is more like a robo, which can work in a very small scale. Now, what kind of scale we are talking about? We call it macro, which is the larger scale on your let's say if I'm talking about cars, or if I talk about proteins, that is on the nanoscale. So nanoscale is something which is in nanometer. So you see, you have the engineering principles, but in the nanoscale now. Now, how they differ is something that we try to build between sciences and engineering through biological systems engineering program. So one aspect is this thing that we thought about, how sciences and engineering, because currently what was happening, we are having biology as biological sciences, or engineering just as engineering. If you talk about biomedical engineering, you will feel like it's more of a mechanical engineering where you are creating devices, or more of a CPS or IoT sensor things. So where the link is happening. So this is the link that we wanted to actually kind of bridge. One part is that. The other part which COVID actually took, actually kind of, taught all of us at an instance to looking at biology as a multi-scale engineering. That means, for example, let's say if I talk about, everybody knows that this is a DNA. Everyone has seen this image, right? And everyone knows that this is a heart. Then there is another scale. This is the whole organism. And then there is another scale. How a single chain in your DNA, a nucleotide, gets from a organ to the organism to actually the whole of your community. Or let's say the whole of the earth. That's what we saw in COVID, right? So that means you have a multi-scale problem. If you change something in a DNA, how it impacts the overall epidemiology, or let's say how it creates a whole pandemic. But that's what has happened. You had a patient zero. From patient zero, it was the havoc that, the pandemic that COVID-19 created. So that brings up that you can't work in silos, even as a sciences. So the one who work in your biological research will be working on your DNA, making changes, repairs, mutations, working how the things work. The one who are going to work on an organs will be your physicians, your clinicians, your surgeons. The same goes, the one who are going to work on an individual will be your behavioral person, or psychologist, or those kinds of people. And the one who are going to work on physiologist or a whole epidemic thing, or your whole community thing, will be more on a policy side, looking at the whole population level. So can we create a biological, an engineering discipline which combines all of this? Because this is what the need now. We have worked enough in silos as in engineering, as a sciences. So the idea was how you can incorporate the results from the sciences into an engineering and have it at a UG level. So this is what the unique we tried to work with our biological systems engineering. So if I just ask, I usually put up this quiz that can anybody guess any number, any large number I'm saying here, as large as you said, because this is what has been estimated by McKinsey report, that what will be the impact of a bioengineering per year, I'm talking about from 2030 to 2040. And this bioengineering is beyond the bioengineering that we see now. Biotech now has changed, it has more automated. So that's engineering impact is how much is, let me throw that number. If you count the zeros, it goes to $4 trillion per year, because health is gonna stay, biology is gonna stay. It's something which nobody can kind of swipe it off, whether you have generative AI or anything, because we know very less about it, and to create any innovations you need a lot of it. So that's why. And the other thing is that because, and the wave of innovation, which is something that if you find a product in biology, so it's now you have so many scale ups, so many entrepreneurship things that now you can be a startup, you can be entrepreneur after BTech. So let's say, and based on this is current report in April, May 2024, because the whole scenario is changing. The whole, if you look at the technology, it is changing very fast. Now, bio is something which is also changing very fast because of technology, inclusion of technology and being part of a technology. So it's a kind of a research institute which took an, analysis where they thought that, okay, bring 1,100 corporate organization in US. I mean, yes, this is mostly from that Western data because those are the one who does these kinds of research analysis. But India is also rising up. I'll bring up later on. So the idea was that where do you think the bio is gonna change? What will be the use cases for current industry? Okay, so one part is the current, the other part is the next year, 5 years down the line, because that's where the students are gonna be. If they're gonna come now, they're gonna be in the market after 5 years. And let's say a decade. So whether do we have anything in to offer so that it grows with the student the way it is. So you can see that mostly all of the industries are gonna be impacted by these biosolutions. So that means that's why our biological system engineering is started as the very appropriate time, which actually kind of, prepare our students for these futures later on. And currently they are already doing at an exploratory stage and then they're going to deploy. So they offer various benefits. So that's why they need to be, they will be implemented sooner in all of them. And then, of course, the one of the barriers that to the accelerated adoption, when they ask that, what do you think is the barrier? 65% think that there is a lack of talent ecosystem. This is also we are trying to, kind of map up with our biological systems engineering. And then, of course, that means you need somebody who knows biological research, but also know how to implement with digital and engineering technology. So now your biology has changed a bit. It has gone towards more a tech-oriented aspect. So what does that mean? That means that to be able to deliver an impactful biological systems engineering, this touches upon various engineering domains. It takes up things from various engineering domains and kind of, give an upper hand to the solution that they are able to think about, design, innovate, or create new solutions. So you can get, so BSc is something which is very, very broad topic. Now, broad topic is something you'll say, okay, then you'll have to look at many things. But the thing is that the broad thing is going to open up more windows for you, more doors for you in the future. So let's see. So the thing was the challenge, of course, the curriculum design, because you have to be thinking about how you're going to integrate these two highly rigor and demanding things. Your in a technology and your biology, both of them are on a different level and you have to combine them to give, the flavors of both the sides. So let's see. So we have a very strong Freshmore foundation. I'm going to go into curriculum so that it makes a bit, if you have details, so you can actually kind of discuss with me later as well. So let's say we have a very strong Freshmore foundations. So yes, so math skills are required because that's earlier it used to be if you are with biology, you don't need maths. But the thing is that what we have found is that biology offers more complex problems that can be solved with the maths. So you take maths as a tool, then come your computers because the data is so large. Even a single human genome, I don't think any person on this earth can sit and kind of find out, oh, there is a single mutation, a gene has been mutated here, because it's like billion and billion of letters to go through. So you need what? You need computing skills for that. And that's why we bring up what we call as a strong Freshmore foundations, not only for BSc, but for any person who is in an engineering and a tech. So the idea is to bring them, give a single core. Once they have reached, so then we are going to go into major. Now in the major part, what happens is that since I talked about that you have a multi-scale, so your courses should go across multi-scale. Experiential learning. They should be learning how to apply it. For example, if somebody learns a technique, what we call as, let's say, gel electrophoresis. Many people, many students, they learn in BSc, MSc. But after doing that, they will feel like what to do with this technique. What can I do with that later on? So it needs to be an experiential learning. They should experience and learn so that they can create more things. application motivated. Our pedagogical, approach at Plaksha is quite different, that I can tell you, because I taught at IISER Mohali as well, and other institutes as well. It's very, very application oriented. It's a kind of a translational thing. So the idea is that if you have a basic foundation, strong foundation, what are you going to do with it? There should be there should be a context to it. How are you going to help the society? How are you going to help yourself? How are you going to help, at large the whole earth? So that is what, it's an application motivated. That's we try to do through our courses. And then it should be vertically integrated across semester. It's not like you have done fourth sem, then it doesn't matter. The courses are done in fifth sem, you start something new. No, it needs to be integrated so that at the end of a 4 year, you have somebody we call as Plaksha graduate or a BSc graduate who knows that these are the things the student should be able to know to go further. And then cross contextual. What does that mean? That means that BSc is alone. I won't say, in a sense, all our 4 UG tracks, they are kind of intermingled. In a sense, I'll talk about it later. Why? Because what will happen is that this gives you a flavor that now if you know biology enough, the rigor enough, what kind of technology you can add it on. It depends on your choice, whether you want to go in computations, whether you want to go in biomedical, robotics, sensors, these kinds of things, or even if you want to go for economics, you have health economics, environmental. So there is a kind of crosstalk between not only the courses within the BSc, but with the other majors as well. That's what we are talking about. Now talking about learning at Plaksha. Now, if you join a Plaksha as a BSc student, so what you're gonna learn? Let me just bring about. So 3 semesters are gonna be common. And if you are just a biology student, because currently we are also having biology students, so there will be a bridging course which will bring you up to the similar level for what we have as a common core. Now, at the first sem, on the selection of a major, the first thing introduced, the blue ones are the one which are experimental biology. So it gives you flavor of, all the core biology experimental that is there. And the green ones are the one which are like more on a quantitative biology. That means more mathematical and computation both involved. And then the electives, because this we are talking about cross contextual. So you can also take it from another stream that is open. Now, after 5th and 6th, let's say on this semester, so these are, you're gonna be working with cell biology, genetics and genetic engineering. So all these experimental courses will so the core are gonna be your experimental biology, your quantitative biology, your computations. And here I'm not written, your electives are actually machine learning, AI, and all those aspects, so that you don't lose what the computation these days offer, because biology is also changing. If somebody is taking, let's say, cell live imaging, that's where the biology is currently, right? You inject with some fluorophores and you get some images and you want to look at it. So the best idea is to create it into a machine learning model, and or then to do what? To convert it into a computer vision problem. So then that field can be done. And then with RCPS, so there are 2 courses. For example, sensing and actuation, if you look at. Sensing and actuation is something where you feel, the biomedical as physical devices. When I talk about biosensor, there are 2 aspects of biosensors. One is when you have a physical device like your heart rate monitor, your smart watches, which can look at your pulse and everything. So the signal is very, very low. It's like in millivolt. How are you gonna sense it? So then you actuate it, you amplify it. So the idea is to take into biomedical regime. So where you can have idea of things and other in healthcare. Lab on a chip is something you must have heard this term where they call organ on a chip. You create an organ on a chip and you try to think how the drugs is going to work, how your organ, you create those kind of digital twins. So that is the course which introduces to microfluidics and these kinds of devices, which are actually the current biology, bioengineering that is being kind of, taken up in all the premier. But let me tell you, all these courses are usually introduced in masters. For us, we are doing it in UG itself. And the flow of these courses, one might say, oh, then you are kind of overloading or rigorous. No, the thing is that the flow itself make it easier for a student to understand or appreciate that whatsoever they have learned, how it is applied in a more translational way. And then at the end, you're going to talk about, nucleic acids and proteins. I was talking about sensors, right? So one is biosensor, which is a physical devices. And then you use enzymes as a sensor itself. For example, everybody did that COVID rat test, right? Rapid antigen test. So what was the antigen inside? That was a biomolecule. So that is a sensor. And how it was converted into a microfluidic? The lab on a chip device. So the whole creation is something that we try to incorporate for our UG students so that they kind of get to know that these are the things that happens here. And then the 7th and 8th sem is an internship that we can talk about as well. Now what will happen is that will mean that you will have more opportunities in, let's say, bioengineering, creation of implants, paper-based diagnostics. One of our student project is actually the diagnostic for a sugarcane juice, where they're trying to look at, how the inverse reaction occurs and look at the sugar content. So these kinds of things that happens here, that kind of, empower a BSc student. Then you can work with genetic engineering, bioinformatics. So many of them are working in bioinformatics data also. And then biotechnology, of course, you have bioprocessing, engineering one planet, which take care of a biotechnology aspects. So the idea here is that it opens up so many streams for students, which are the current streams, unlike from the traditional one. Okay, so here I'm going to talk about why I'm saying again and again with the BSc major or the cross contextual is that the biology strength, if combined what we call as a major, if combined with the courses from minor CS or AI, it opens up one door that leads to so many roles. Or you can take minor with robotics, that opens in another door. Or you can take minor economics, so you have another pathway. Or we have minor design, entrepreneurship. So the idea here is that if you combine a BSc major with any of the minors or take up the courses in that kind of a sequence, it kind of gives you your own niche where it can be, the specialized thing that this is what I want to do, this is what it is going to be there. So there will be pathway not only for the corporate, academia. So there are jobs which are in corporate where people actually work for, these kinds of specialized jobs. The academia, of course, because academia is also changing with the science, you need to be having deliverables. Or entrepreneurship, because entrepreneurs, now you have found a solution because you were able to find this solution, you were explore, that was your training to explore it. Now you know that this is a solution, now how to bring up to the society. So all these things we try to cover, and we pretty much cover. Also, I'll say we won't try, you can talk to our students as well the final year. So the idea is to actually kind of empower a student that what kind of pathway a student wants later on. And talking about innovation map, because this is something where everybody is like, why can't us start something new? So the startups and the scale-ups, if you talk about, so biology has a huge kind of impact that is there. The scenario is changing. If I talk about biotech, so currently even people make it into biotech versus health tech, and these are the things that we actually combine in all BSc in one go. So you'll see, of course, US is the one because it has large companies or startups kind of availability, but India is also rising. And if I talk about healthcare, India is actually picking up a lot. So that gives us a kind of, the size of the sphere is corresponding to the number of startups that are registered in that area. So the idea thing here is that we have lots of opportunities in healthcare, because what happens is that if you create a solution for India, that will be indigenous, local, and you won't have the similar kind of fighting the way it is happening in the Western. And the thing is that till now, all these pharmacy companies and everything, they are taking drugs from the Western country and kind of making it cheaper, generics for the Indian population, without thinking that the R&D has been done for the Western population, not for the Indian population. So there also these kinds of R&Ds opens up more and more opportunities for any student to go further. And India story, of course, our government has also kind of, created that we need something what we call as the bioeconomy or biorevolution. What they try to call is that they want to convert it into a $150 billion bioeconomy. And that's why there are so many things that has now started up. It's picking up in a biosector, which is currently very new. So I think I can kind of, I have given a glimpse for you what is actually our BSc looks like. So the idea here is that, when biology is going to meet technology, and it is meeting technology, the way we are trying to, envision in our BSc program, it leads to various innovations. And that is going to make a significant effect on health and the sustainability challenges that we face till now. So it's an engineering for the future, I'll say. So here I'm open for all the questions, and I hope that everybody now has a bit of idea that what is our BSc program, and I'm happy to take any questions regarding it.
Yeah, thank you so much, Professor Monica, for the insightful session. So I'd like to thank you again, Dr. Monica, for your time, and thank you everyone for joining in. And very
Everyone.
thanks,
Yeah.
everyone. Bye bye.